Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an Oath of the Frozen Wilds Paladin mod subclass build guide in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a mod that was made by GIGeorge, now available on console. I love cold themed builds, I love the Paladin. This is a match made in heaven and it's a ton of fun, come with the abilities that you can see here, which I'll be taking you through right now. Our channel Oath ability here allows us to give ourselves temporary health equal to twice our level plus our proficiency bonus. And you cannot be forcibly moved against your will, and you gain resistance to physical damage types. You get a Frozen Mastery, which is kind of like a fighting style. However, there is one that doesn't give you any benefit, the Oathsworn Defender, so just heads up. The Ice Weaver here, whenever you are using your Chilling Blast cantrip, and whenever you deal cold damage with a level 1 or higher spell, you inflict Shattering Cold on your target here. And the Chilling Blast is like a Eldritch Blast for cold damage. The Frostborn Sentinel allows you to use your Freezing Retribution, and your weapons are infused with frost, getting us extra 1 point of cold damage, which is actually kind of crazy if you use the Snowburst Ring to create ice surfaces below the enemy. And the Avalanche Striker here gives you the Glacial Charge ability, which lets you rush forward using your action, your bonus action, dealing extra cold damage, and you cannot fall prone while on icy terrain. This is really good, but there's items that also give us that. So I think the Frostborn Sentinel is the best choice. If you like to cast a little bit, the Ice Reaver is good too. Now, the best scores here, you either want to build around dexterity or strength here. I personally like to go with a dexterity, a dexadin. So if you want to do strength, 16 strength, 10 dexterity, 14 constitution, 10 wisdom, and 16 charisma here works best. But I personally prefer to put those points into our dexterity here. You alternatively can also dump strength and put a strength potion on your character if you really want to min-max it. But this is my personal preference using Fowler Alluve. But you also can go into strength. Level 2 gives us our Divine Smites, and again, we got that extra cold damage, which is great. Our Fighting Style lets us take an extra 1 to defense here. The Dueling will give us +2 damage if we're using a shield, which is nice, and great weapon fighting if you want to use a two-handed weapon. I think defense gives us the biggest bang for our buck. We want really only, we only really care about Command Spell, but Shield of Faith is nice to give us a +2 to armor class, and Bless early game can be great as well. Searing Smite doesn't fit the theming, so we're going to take Thunderous and Wrathful Smite there and just never use them. Divine Smite as a Paladin is your best bet. Level 3 gives us our Heart of the Blizzard class action, doing a 2d8 +2 cold damage, unleashing a devastating wave of freezing energy. Enemies within 6 meter radius must make a Constitution saving throw or take 4 to 18 cold damage and become frozen for 2 turns. This makes them skip their turns, and then they take double of thunder, force, and bludgeoning damage. So we can actually get some pretty crazy things going with the hammer. And we also see the Frozen Soul, which is a bonus action channel Oath. So the target must succeed a wisdom saving throw or become vulnerable to cold damage and frightened. In addition, all attack rolls will have advantage against the target. So this makes them take double cold damage, which is nuts. And then we also get the Armor of Agathis, which is great. Gives you upwards of 30% points of cold, I guess 25 points of cold damage if we hit level 20. And also Frigid Smite. This is strong. So this allows you to possibly inflict piercing frost on your target, and it does an additional 2d6 of cold damage. Yeah, this is nuts. Level 4 gives us our first feat, and you can just really take whatever there for your spells. We got our Freezing Smites, which is what we want. You go with the Dexterity or Charisma increase. The Alert feat, the Sentinel feat can be decent enough as well. And I personally just like going with Alert for my first one as a Paladin. Going first in combat is super valuable. Level 5, Extra Attack, huge. We also get Glacial Breath, which is a spell. 46 of cold damage, possibly causing them to fall prone, and Hold Person, which is amazing because that gives us free critical hits, which gives us an extra damage die on our smites. And we'll take the Aid or Branding Smite can be nice if there's invisible enemies around. It's kind of situational. Level 6 gives us our Aura of Protection, which gives a Charisma modifier onto our saving throws for us and our allies. Level 7 gives us an Aura of Frozen Fortitude. You and nearby allies get a +1 to armor class and an advantage on Constitution saving throws. Those are the ones that you hold concentration with, so that's great for your spellcasters on your team. And level 11, you really don't care too much about the spells, as mentioned. At this point, I think a Charisma increase if you're the face of the party, or a Dexterity increase if you want to maximize your overall armor class. It works best. The Savage Attacker is another really great one, though. This will reroll your damage die if you didn't take the Great Weapon Master. That's a really great boost to the damage. Level 9 allows us to take the Polar Ray, doing an 86 of cold damage, conjuring a beam of cold energy, pushing it at a target, dealing 4 to 48 cold damage, and possibly freezing it in its place. Slow as well, makes sense. This is a target up to 6 targets, slow them. So this reduces their movement, they can only do an action or a bonus action, and then also they get their armor class and dexterity saves reduced by 2. Again, we got really everything we want. You could take Elemental Weapon though and put even more cold damage on your weapon if you want to make a full thematic build. Level 10, Aura of Courage, that's cool and dandy. Again, we got every single spell that we want, so we're just going to blitz through here. Improved Divine Smite is massive. That puts a 1d8 of radiant damage on every single weapon attack, making us really good with Radiating Orb gear as well. Level 12 will take a boost to our dex strength or dexterity depending on which you're focused around. Now again, this is going past level 12. So level 13 you get Ice Storm. However, if you just go to level 12, this will be perfectly fine. You can kind of skip ahead to the combat section or continue watching if you want to see all the benefits. You get Elemental Bane as well, which allows you to remove its resistances to an elemental damage type, and then also take additional damage type of that chosen element, so you can put cold damage on them. And Ice Storm, really great. It's just a huge crowd control spell that's very, very effective. Level 14 lets us take Cleansing Touch, allowing you to cleanse enemies, or cleanse your allies or yourself. Into level 15 gives us our Unyielding Sentinel, so Frigid Bulwark now grants resistance to all damage types except Psychic. In addition, if once per long rest, if you reach 0 health points, you regain 1, so you come back up instead of being downed. And the Frigid Bulwark is now updated so that it gives you all element damage resistances alongside the physical ones, except Psychic. Level 16 gives us another feat. We'll take the Dexterity improvement. I just think that that works very well here. Or Strength if you're going it. Now, we also get Rime Hammer here. So hurl 3 frozen spheres of glistening ice that explode on impact, dealing damage in a small radius. Huge, level 5 spell. And Cone of Cold. If you can apply a vulnerability to cold damage on a target and then hit them with a Cone of Cold, there's not many enemies that can resist that. And now our Aura of Frozen Fortitude increases in range at level 18. That's great to have. Level 19 just gives us another feat here. We get our last feat. Alert, the actor feat can be nice to increase our charisma as well. We could go with the tough feat to give us 40 extra health points, which is really great. Lucky is another good choice. You can even go with Great Weapon Master if you're using a two-handed weapon, but we're going to go with the tough feat. Just extra resource of health, super useful. And level 20 gives you the Glacial Champion, invoking the full power of your oath. You channel the Untamed Fury of the Frozen Wilds, gaining the following benefits. You get advantage on strength checks, saving throws, your size increases, and you do 1d4 extra damage. I'll show this off in the combat section. You also get 2d6 cold damage plus 2d6 radiant damage, and you heal yourself for 2d6. And when you land a weapon attack, target must make a Constitution saving throw or have its speed reduced to half, or to 0 for 1 turn. Now as for gear, this one actually comes with a weapon here, which does additional cold damage, and the Ice Heart there, which also knocks targets prone, and you can also apply Chilled if a target misses with you an attack. Pretty fun stuff. You can also, if you don't want to use this, use Fowler Aloof as mentioned. Drake Throat Glaive can give you cold damage on any weapon, so you can use this on a teammate to apply that to your weapon. Infernal Rapier is also kind of good, despite giving you a Cambi, which doesn't fit here well. And the Knife Thunder Mountain King, or even you could use the Morning Frost as a staff and bonk people on the head with it. Now, if I can only go with Walking Forge as the best shield, I really like Radiating Orb gear because we're going to get 1d8 of radiant damage on every attack. So whenever we attack, we do a Radiant Shockwave, causing Radiating Orbs in a 3-meter radius on every enemy. And the Luminous Gloves will also apply Radiating Orbs. And then paired with the Coruscation Ring, when we cast spells, we apply them. If you don't want that, the Callous Glow Ring can give you further radiation damage on your attacks. The Snowburst Ring, whenever we deal cold damage, we create ice surfaces below the enemies. This is crazy. And we're going to use the Disintegrating Nightwalkers. I previously thought about using the Boots of Stormy Clamor, which allows you to do Reverberation and knock the enemy prone. But we have ice. We're going to knock them prone. We don't have to worry about that. And the Holy Lance Helm, when a target misses, you do an additional 1d4 radiant damage, which will then trigger your Radiating Orbs. And the Cloak Protection, but you can use the Deathstalker Mantle if you're Dirge, or you can also go with the Thunder Skin Cloak if you have someone else in your team applying Reverberation to dazed targets. I also like the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel if you're in Act 3, because then we can do Hold Person as a bonus action. So I activate our Giant Form there, getting us that extra damage on our attacks. Now, what we want to do is, we are great at spell casting. We have crowd control. The Rime Hammer is a nice one because you can use this to set up surfaces on multiple enemies at a time. So you can shoot that around just like this, and you can also get a free crit off on it. This will also apply Radiating Orbs on spell cast, so that's pretty nice because, yeah, that just gives us further ways of crowd control. Now, that ate up our action there, so that's a little bit unfortunate. I didn't end up pairing that very well, but we want to do an attack if all possible on enemies because that'll give us the Radiating Orbs even further. And the Frozen Soul is great too because it gives the enemy vulnerability to cold damage. So pretty effective there. I just unfortunately didn't have to get action there. So I'll apply the Frozen Soul on that enemy to use up the bonus action here. And then our Aura of Freezing Light will actually apply Radiating Orbs as well because it does a bit of radiant damage as it counts as a spell. So that gives us 8 Radiating Orbs on the enemy. And what's nice about this is we can create cold damage on the enemy too. So we'll just eat that opportunity attack to give ourselves extra radiant damage. You see there, if we walk around, we do cold damage. So we can actually end up knocking enemies prone with not only the radiant damage, but the cold damage. I've got mine broken, unfortunately. This person just jumped at me and got hit with the aura and ended up getting knocked prone. It ends up adding to some pretty funny abilities. We also get the shield spell from our shield itself from this mod. So you can see that we turn that into a miss. That was nice, increasing our armor class by 5 for the turn. With haste, that gives us 22 armor class, which is not crazy good, but it's better than nothing. I guess we have light armor, or not the best armor on for armor class. that was pretty good. We actually got the Holy Lands Helm there to trigger on that missing attack, and it was enough with Call of the Week to actually finish the enemy off. So that was pretty good. I saved on command, which is great because that's the Aura of Protection working, so that was great. Now I have multiple enemies I want to hit again, so I guess the Rhyme Hammer is probably our best bet because I need to set up difficult terrain there and then protect our friends here. So maybe I'll drop 2 of them right there and then 1 over there. This will hopefully finish off a couple of them. Got a critical hit on one enemy, knocked 2 of them prone, and to get knocked one of the enemies over here prone. So that was a pretty successful turn. I guess for our bonus action ability, we can move around too, because that gives us that aura, which can sometimes end up burning an enemy to death. So try to move around a lot. You almost have like a pseudo Spirit Guardians. Every miss that you proc too gives you a little bit of radiant damage, and then we might even be lucky and finish them off with a we daze them there, so that gives us our hold person. They have disadvantage on the save, and that enemy just ended up taking a bit of extra radiant damage because we started our turn there. Now doing melee attacks is pretty strong. This one comes with its own version of the Frigid Blade there, which can make the target bleed. Pretty strong ability. I'm just going to use it on this target here to show it. Boom, that took out the enemy there. Nice critical hit. We wanted that. Now what's kind of cool is we can sometimes end up, yeah, you can see there, create an extra ice surface around the enemy. I would recommend at this point to use a Divine Smite, and you can upcast this here if you really need to get a knockout. And if not, it's going to apply enough Radiating Orbs that it's pretty beneficial, all things considered. Now, here I guess is where we got our bonus action abilities. I usually have haste for these builds, so we're just going to end our turn there. A Lithid ability, Psionic Dominance, will save your hide a lot of times just because you're going to end up getting hit by something at some point, like a command spell. You don't want to get hurt by it. Now, this is great because they're just walking straight up to me, so literally all I have to do is walk towards them. This gives the extra cold and radiant damage, which will further stack the Radiating Orbs. We have some pretty fun abilities, like the Glacial Breath here can sometimes hit multiple enemies. Kind of similar to Cone of Cold, but we burn through our spell slots here. Rhyme Hammer, also we burn through our spell slots, which are a great one, but we do have Polar Ray here, which we can actually hit for some pretty heavy damage, so I'll just use it on this target here. Boom, it didn't do enough. That is unfortunate. So I guess for this, we don't have any Channel Oath charges. We kind of ran out of all of our resources, so Misty Step away would probably be the best bet, or Mind Blast, but I'm not going to use the Lithid abilities. And we're going to hit with commands. I'm going to use Sonic Backlash and potentially, yep, take them out. It's what we needed. It also does the extra radiant and cold damage off on that target there. So yeah, this is pretty fun. You have so many different options. We got spells that are actually pretty powerful in terms of cold damage. You can use your Frozen Soul there to make the target vulnerable to cold damage so that we can hit them even harder. We have 5 Lave Hand Charge, but only a couple Channel Oaths that we get on short rest. So go make sure you use those. This is a really fun build. I love cold style ones. We now have a Ranger, we got a Sorcerer, we got a Paladin, we got a Cleric, we got them all. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great day. We'll catch you in the next one.